Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram at Younique Yet Connected. You are now listening to episode 1 of Younique Yet Connected Podcast, Own Your Gift of Belonging. The title for this episode is Allow Us to Introduce the Podcast, Younique Yet Connected. Hello, brilliant souls in and around the world. My name is Nolitha Kinga. Welcome to the first episode of Younique Yet Connected, a podcast series where we share and translate the wisdom of Systemic Family Constellations into a practical language that all of us can easily understand. The theme for this episode is Allow Us to Introduce the Podcast, Younique Yet Connected. Own Your Gift of Belonging. I'm not alone. I'm with my co-host, Kinga.
Thank you, Noli. Hello, dear listeners. Yes, allow us to introduce the podcast, Younique Yet Connected. This is our introduction episode, and here what we will share with you a bit about ourselves and how we met, the people, and the story behind this podcast. Our mission and vision for this podcast is for it to be relevant for you as our audience by inspiring you to own your gift of belonging, as we are promising in our motto. We will guide you through the process of how to get the most benefit out of each episode. We also want to be truthful with you from the beginning and clarify to you what we can and cannot promise to you.
The one promise I know is that it's going to be an informative episode. Kinga, before we share about ourselves and our roles in the podcast, can you shed some light on what the Systemic Family Constellation is?
For now, let me open up the work for you with the help of some keywords and sentences, also by touching on some areas that we'll be talking about and working with. So let's start. Taking responsibility for your life. This means free will. Understanding ancestral trauma and unburdening yourself of it means freedom. Transforming from the feelings of victimhood and helplessness into strength, willpower, and clarity means being powerful. Being able to create your own path means a gifted future. Give back the trauma where it belongs so that you do not pass it on to the next generation. This means the gift of freedom handed over to your children, nephews, and nieces. Change your relationships into being based on support, equality, and bonded by love. This means the best kind of love. Increase your feeling of belonging. This means taking your life fully.
I like the meaning on those phrases. I know you can't wait to hear more. But first, let's keep our promise to introduce the hosts. My name is Nolitha Kinga. I am live, and my background in filmmaking and media has shaped the way I view content and how, as a content creator, I wanted to make my contribution. Over the past few years, I started being drawn to creating content that heals, transforms, and uplifts humanity to live their best lives. And being a part of this podcast for me is another step of making that contribution. As a student of life, human science, and human condition, my role in this podcast is to bring an inquiring perspective that seeks to understand the wisdom of systemic family constellations as it relates to our everyday lives. Sometimes I'll do this by sharing some of my experiences, insights, and questions. But what I'm mostly looking forward to is to hear your experiences, your insights, and your questions. So keep them coming.
Yes, we would love to hear from you. My name is Kinga Siladi, and my passion is helping you to create your own emotional, physical, and spiritual empowerment by reconnecting you with your roots. My background is as a systemic inner family constellation facilitator and emotional intelligence and holistic counseling practitioner. In this podcast series, we are about to share with you a lot of practical tools and insight about the ways of healing your relationships. During this process, you get to know Nolitha and me, and we hope to get to know you. Bring us your questions, concerns, understandings, and stories. Let's have some honest conversation about them. Nolitha and I are ready to share our story with you. The story of how we connected and how this connection gave birth to this podcast.
Kinga and I met through my cousin Nono, whom I haven't connected with in years. And in this reconnection that happened during COVID-19, we had quite a catch up to do on that call. But what we both realized was that we're having revelations on family patterns and family burdens. And I was searching my soul for more wisdom and light until she shared about her family constellation sessions with Kinga. And somehow it just resonated with me. And although I didn't fully understand her explanation of it, I just knew it was what I was looking for. So I started researching about it. I got in touch with Kinga and booked the appointment. I will not be able to do justice to explain to you what it is, but that is why we have a whole podcast series dedicated to it, so that we can demystify it and also make it an accessible, holistic technique. All I can say is that after my session, I had a different perspective about my family situation. I could feel something had shifted. I think what also happened is that Kinga is soothing, caring, and she created a safe space for me to move forward differently. So while I was working on clouds and sunshine due to my recent discovery, Kinga was thinking about starting a podcast. And when she approached me, I knew that I wanted to be part of the people who continue to bring this kind of work to light so that more people can also shift their lives and relationships to empowering levels.
They say sharing is caring, and we would like to share with you how this unique work helped our own lives and how it can help yours. It was a long-standing dream for me to share the incredible knowledge of systemic work and be part of the movement of creating a higher unity consciousness and connection in the world. In our hearts, we are all looking for belonging. It is a basic need of a human being. We are strong when we know where we belong. And through the belonging, feel fully part of a supportive environment. The wisdom of systemic work is all about belonging and balance. My big challenge was how to translate and share this wisdom in a practical and useful way. Then the idea came. A podcast could be an excellent forum to do exactly this, to be able to share. Then our friend Nono introduced me to Nolitha, my co-host, a brilliant documentary film director and producer. The connection between Nolitha and myself was instant. As soon as Nolitha experienced the work and the results it can bring, she became a devoted partner in bringing this dream of mine to life. And now here we are, ready to share with you everything that we know. We need your help to be able to do this. Let's make this podcast a living, breathing being. We can only do this when you connect to us by asking your questions, telling us your stories, because for Nolitha and myself, you do matter. Your story matters. We care about you. Now, over to you, Nolitha. Please share our mission with our listeners.
Indeed, Kinga, let's make this podcast a living, breathing being. Younique Yet Connected Podcast is here to assist you in developing insights that help you take the required steps to shift generational patterns and traumas in your own lives, your children's lives, and your families.
So you may ask here, is this really relevant in my life? Do my family's past and my roots really affect my decision and the choices I make today? The way we see it is that we have to say yes to these questions. You are not an isolated island in the sea of people, even it might be how it feels like in the moment. When you look at life, it is actually more similar to a river. It has a beginning somewhere up in the mountains, and from there it flows down towards the ocean. The spring, the beginning, is part of the river, but not the river itself. Like this river, our life also flows down to us from our ancestors. The river also represents a life force and support for the people who live next to it. But if it happens to be polluted, it cannot fulfill its purpose to support the people dependent on it. Our relationship with our family system works similarly. Our ancestors can only be of support to us when the system is not polluted upstream with limiting beliefs, unhealthy patterns, and unhealed traumas. Younique Yet Connected Podcast hope to bring healing to your lives by introducing possible new perspectives and a deeper understanding by explaining the universal laws and needs that drive us, yet are often unknown to us.
This podcast series will explore solutions that empower you to take ownership of your life or shape your own destiny, while it also helps you with shifting emotional and mental health, as well as satisfying the need for belonging. To support these processes, we will share various resources such as opening up of universal relationship-centered themes, supported by practical exercises built into the podcast. Our advice is based on experiences, on books, and on science. To connect with us, share your burning questions on our online platforms. You can also check out our website on www.youniqueyetconnected.com and register with the courses that feel relevant to you. And you can also book an individual constellation or participate in our upcoming family constellation workshops. This podcast is for our growth and your growth.
Yes, let's do and grow this together and do this together. This is a practical approach to systemic work. Remember, we can only do this together.
With Kinga and I sparking conversations that seeks to decode family patterns and belief systems by using book extracts, family constellation quotes, shared experiences, comments, and questions from you. So keep those comments, questions, and insights coming. Up next is a Q&A session with Kinga. Are you ready?
Ask away.
How can our audience get the most of the Younique Yet Connected podcast?
To reach the best results, you will need to bring a pinch of curiosity, courage, and willingness to do the work. Yes, yes, there is work involved, but not too much, and the results can be mind-blowing. The most important addition from your side is an open mind, to be ready to look at life from a new perspective, just to be curious, just to ask yourself the question of what if.
Thank you for that, Kinga. What if? We mentioned resource tools earlier. Tell us a bit more about that.
This is an evergreen podcast. This means you can go back to past episodes and re-listen to them. As we mentioned before on the website, www.youniqueyetconnected.com, we provide courses with meditations and workbooks. Our advice to you is that when you work with any of the resources, don't try to rush through them. It has taken you and your family system some time to get here, and it will take a little time for you to untangle yourself from the unhealthy family patterns and belief systems. And I'm sharing this from my own experience. Even after all this time working in my field, I still happen to find patterns that I haven't noticed before. They used to fill me with dread, but now when I find one, I see them as a treasure, as a gift. a gift of a possibility towards positive change. When you do this work, the most important thing is to be kind to yourself and to your family. In times when you are feeling in need of support, to be kind to yourself, remember to reach out to us. We are here for you.
And our last question is, what is it that YYC podcast cannot promise?
This podcast was not planned as an individual therapy session. We can't promise you that. Yet your healing can organically happen by listening to the episodes and working with the supporting material. What we are doing here is opening up the possibility of new insights. The healing happens inside you, dear listener. What we aim for is an open-minded conversation between Younique Yet Connected and you. Also, like with everything else in life, the more you invest into this work, the more you get out. The more times you listen to a podcast session, to the meditation, the more you work with the workbooks, the more you will get out.
It's all about commitment and willingness to do the work. Our theme for the next series of podcasts is on relationships. It will be an in-depth and an honest look into our closest relationships. Kinga, please give us a sneak preview on the 2 upcoming episodes.
The next podcast title is Revealing Your Relationships. The systemic work is based on revealing previously hidden, motivating, and deciding factors in the various ways we connect and behave in our relationships. We will start to discuss in detail what these hidden elements can be. From here, we will move on to our next episode to explore the connection between relationships and family systems. Is there a possibility that we carry burdens and patterns that don't belong to us? If yes, what can we do about them? How can we even realize that we are actually doing that?
Yes, that is it from us on this episode. I hope we managed to shed a bit of light about the podcast, who we are, and on what the Systemic Family Constellation work is about.
If you feel like you are experiencing limiting patterns or relationship issues and would like to have an individual session, book a family constellation session with us on our website, www.youniqueyetconnected.com, or on our socials, Facebook or Instagram. Our handle on both platforms is @YouniqueYetConnected.
Thank you for listening to our first episode. And another big thank you to Nick Mons from That Guy Productions. Woohoo! For making us sound fabulous and on point. We are looking forward to hearing from you. Like our pages and engage with us on Facebook or Instagram @Younique Yet Connected. Younique spelled YOUNIQUE. Stay unique. Stay connected, and remember, you are one of a kind, and we can only create a really meaningful podcast together. Siyabulela, till the next episode. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram @Younique Yet Connected.